All right, so thank you again to everyone for joining us today and welcome. As I said, the session is being recorded. If you need to drop off early or want to revisit anything that we discuss, the recording will be shared after the end of the webinar. We do have the Q&A box open today, so that's down at the bottom of your screen. It should be a box with a question mark, Q&A. You may have to click more to access it. Go ahead and pop any questions that come up throughout the webinar into that box. I think the chat is also open, so feel free to message any of the host or panelists through that. Um, on the questions, put them in throughout. We'll probably address most of the questions at the end, but that way, just so you don't forget anything, do feel free to use that throughout the session. Um, Also, it looks a little different today, so I'm really excited that I'm not the only one here talking to you today. Normally, it's just me or me and Tarek on these webinars, but today we've decided to pull back the curtains, so to speak. And we've brought in some of our additional team. I was on with someone recently, a customer, and they were asking, who does what? How do we get stuff done? So we thought we'd introduce some of our other team members today so you know who's behind the scenes. And rather than me talking about them, I'm going to hand it over to Jake first to give his intro and say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody. Jake Walters. I'm the CTO here at Byte. For anybody who hasn't met me, handle most of the product planning, building, and kind of everything technical side of Byte. And yeah, very happy to be here and and meet anybody who I do after this as well.
Thanks, Jake. And with that, we'll hand it over to Lauren.
Everybody, I'm Lauren Owing. I work across our go-to-market and special projects here at Byte, and I also lead our work with government clients. Really excited to meet you all.
Thanks, Lauren. And last but not least, Michael.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Belden. It's great to meet everyone. I'm an account executive here on the Byte team, and I come from working as at a logistics company where I was previously a logistics coordinator and customer operations analyst for a couple of years. And I was also just at the AAEI conference. If anybody recognizes me. Maybe our paths crossed then, but I'll also be at the Southern Borders Conference in Laredo in October as well.
Thanks, Michael. So yeah, as I said, we just thought it was time to start to put some faces to the names that you may see in some of our outreach, or if you are an existing Byte customer, you may get responses sometimes from any one of these team members in response to questions that come up. So excited to have the opportunity to introduce them all. Before we jump in, just a quick preview of what we have lined up for today. You just met the team, and then I will give some background on Cape Phase 2, just to ground us all and give context to what we're covering today. I will then hand things over to Jake, who is going to give a high-level look at what's happening from a technical side. And then we'll come back and do a live demo of the changes to Byte with regard to Cape Phase 2 and the ACE Analyzer in Byte. And really exciting, we'll also demo a new tool that we have coming out that brings together some variety of Byte tools and helps you answer some of those tedious questions that that you may be getting asked around what's my tariff going to be, and yeah, excited to show what we have built on that. So I think today it's a good mix of meeting the Byte team, understanding product changes, and digging into the most recent regulatory updates. So with that, I just realized I'm not sharing my beautiful PowerPoint, which I will not uh, do too much of, but let me do that quickly. Um, or not. There we go. All right. So preparing for CAPE phase 2. So CAPE phase 2, expanded CAPE beyond phase 1. I think that's kind of the key takeaway here. We'll just do it like this. So quick refresher, phase 1, I think we all know, was quite narrow. It covered only entries that were unliquidated or entries within 80 days of liquidation. If your entry didn't fit in that window, it wasn't eligible and it was rejected. So phase 2 is now expanding that. The big addition here is that entries that are flagged for reconciliation, specifically entries where reconciliation has been flagged before the reconciliation filing actually exists. So just sorry, I can't say reconciliation this many times in one sentence without clarifying. So these are entries in that kind of like in between state. So they're marked for reconciliation, but nobody's filed that entry yet. So those entries are now eligible to be submitted under phase 2. So the entries in phase 2 need to check the same gates that were previously there. So it needs to be an entry type 1, 2, or 6. It has to be, it should be flagged for reconciliation with no reconciliation entry filed yet. And it still has to meet that same timing rule. So unliquidated or within 80 days of liquidation. So it's not throwing out any of the old timing requirements. It's just adding a new eligibility path on top of it. So records that are that already have that reconciliation filing on record are still explicitly excluded from phase 2. So those still will be pushed to a later phase. And so if that reconciliation has been filed, we're still not touching it yet. It's not in phase 2. So a lot of this is uh, kind of regulatory on CBP's side, and phase 2 changes the workflow, but not just the eligibility. So CBP can now remove the IEPA duties flagged from the entry before the reconciliation entry is filed, which means the refund process is slightly decoupled now from that reconciliation calculation. So you're not waiting on the full reconciliation math to run before you get that refund. So they can now kind of diverge and move each on their own tracks. So that's a lot kind of just to say if you had entries that were excluded under phase 1 because they didn't fit the timing, they now may be in play for phase 2 if they carry that reconciliation flag. So phase 2 is really an expansion on who's eligible, what entries are eligible, and the different processing path. So it's not really a replacement for phase 1. It's setting up alongside of it, and it's picking up new entries that phase 1 couldn't reach. So from a regulatory standpoint, that's, like I said, a lot. For what changed in Byte. So as I said, this is a lot on CBP's side and what they're able to process. So for Byte, we took the opportunity to look at our ACE analyzer tool, how we were filtering out records for phase 1 and determining eligibility. As I said, the eligibility logic overall didn't change. So everything we just talked through, the timing window, the entry types, the flags, those are all CBP's rules. So we're not touching those. It's more what happens after it gets through there that we are now addressing in Byte. So we are asking, is this a valid IEPA row? Yes or no? And that's still the primary question. But now what we've done to kind of improve and create our own phase two to address this phase two is asking a harder question, which is, can this line go into a supportable refund claim for the correct amount? And a lot of this becomes now a judgment call. So we built I hesitate to use the word classification, but we built a layer on top of the eligibility where we now tag each row as claimable or needs review. And I will demo that and go into some of the details on what that means. But we've just included a bit more information for you as the user to understand what's going on with each of these entries, and also highlight if there are gaps in what we as Byte can do with your ES003. So that question has come up quite a lot too, in terms of, how can you do this if you don't have this? And so we're trying to really uncover and highlight how there are limitations. We are just looking at the ES003 and how those can kind of be illuminated, and you can then go and take that next step. So that's kind of how we are responding to phase two, how we've interpreted it. I do have a resource here that we'll share out. I'm just mentioning this quickly. This is the error definitions. We also get a lot of questions from customers around what different errors mean. We can also talk about this a bit at the Q&A at the end as well. I've also heard from some people that their refunds have stopped. Obviously, we're not CBP, so a lot of those questions I can't answer, but we do strive to provide that information, or at least encourage those conversations. So we'll go through a demo of everything that we've done to address this shortly, but I'm going to hand it over to Jake now, just to talk through a little bit more on kind of how we as Byte use technology at a high level to implement these changes and adjust to the ever-changing regulation we're also familiar with.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. Yeah, I think the CAPE guidance coming out, our reaction and getting kind of the update to our ACE Analyzer tool to include it is kind of a good example of what we're trying to do on the product side of Byte. So we really try to incorporate things in this rapidly changing environment, in this rapidly changing industry. We try to stay on top of it the best we can. We really figured the best way to do that is to marry expert input and the ability for rapid processing of AI. So to be able to process information, identify kind of what we're going to need to make changes on, how we're going to need to design our tools, how we're going to be able to provide value for customers. We really lean heavily on kind of those two core things. We have our AI side of it. We're really trying to stay on the forefront of all the latest technologies that are available to us. Whenever there's new advancements in AI, new tooling that we can use, we try to stay on top of that because we figure that's how we can keep ourselves as fresh as possible and offering the quickest and best services and getting the product built as well as it can. And then making sure that we have that expert touch on it as well, and having everything accurate and reviewed, both by Ann doing her constant research and learning all new wonderful things every time that changes happen, and then with some great design partners as well, some experts in fields that really help us make sure that our accuracy is up to standard as well as our capabilities. So yeah, really excited for things like CAPE when they come out, to be able to respond quickly. As all these tariff changes happen, we're able to have really rapid turnarounds. And I think a large part of that is kind of our dedication to AI, to the newest and latest technologies available to us. And then obviously not to demean the technical team as well, who who's implementing all this stuff and constantly learning new things to be able to keep up. So yeah, really excited for the tools that we've been putting out, and the response times that we've had. And yeah, looking forward to kind of continuing to adapt and change as the industry does, and figuring out the new value that we can add to the customers.
Thanks, Jake. And just while we have everyone here also, a lot of the tools and products that we do put out and that we're going to show today come from brainstorming with customers and design partners like Jake mentioned. So if ever you are in the application or you're on a webinar, if you're not a customer and you're just checking it out, and you have ideas on what you need to kind of solve your problems, definitely reach out. Jake, I think you're the only person who ever said I'm so excited about Cape. So, we want to build tools that we're excited about and that help you. So, with that, I will jump in to the live demo, and go ahead and share my screen again. All right. Um, so as I mentioned earlier, just shifting gears into what actually changed on our end inside Byte's ACE Analyzer. So for anyone who hasn't seen Byte ACE Analyzer, it's here under Analyzers. You can click ACE Analyzer, and what you do here, run a new analysis. You can put in a title, Cape Phase 2. And then it's just a drag and drop. So you drag your ES003, mine's called sample data, but you drag the ES003 that you export from ACE, drop it in here and hit analyze. It then goes through a process whereby it reads your ES003, it flattens that data out. By flattening, I mean instead of your stacking in order, it makes it go horizontally. So you have each entry summary line number on one line. So just helping for analysis and audit purposes. Once you've run that, you can open it up and start to see any potential flags on the data. So if I look here at flagged, I can filter. So I want to look at any entries that have a tariff ordering issue. So I can open these up and start to see kind of what was wrong with my order here and the order that it should be. So you can take a look at that. Also, you can now just an update on this that wasn't here before. You can actually now also export this table. So that wasn't an option before. You can export the table. So if you did need to send this over to an operational team to update specific entry lines, you can download that as a CSV. So just at a high level on ACE, a few changes that have been implemented. If you haven't been getting my emails about that, let me know. But these are just, again, features that have been requested that we really want to be able to provide to people. But getting more into the CAPE Phase 2 changes. So as always, there's still this IEPA report button right up here at the top. So if I click that, um, I'm keeping the same report types that I had before. So you can still do a CAPE Phase 1 eligibility. You can still output all your IEPA rows with no additional information. You just want to see what was an IEPA row. And then you can also look at your Phase 1 exclusions. Added now for Phase 2 is CAPE Phase 2 claim eligibility. So this will show, I'll open up an example, but this will show the claimable and needs review flags. You can also see anything that's excluded, and then also an entry roll-up. So you can choose each one of these. You can download, all of them. If you only want one, you can still come in and pick which report you're looking for. I'm going to go to one that I had here that Jake had uploaded. and download the IEPA report. And if I download this CAPE Phase 2, I don't want to make everyone dizzy, so I'm just going to put it in a Google Sheet. Sorry. Import. Okay. So here now we have that report that I just exported from Byte. So I have my entry summary number, the line number, my importer number, name, all of that. And then I also have my liquidation status here. And I'm going to keep scrolling all the way to the right and get my phase 2 status. So in this report, you still have the IEPA duties paid, estimated refund amount, but this is now these columns down here are, whoops, these columns down here are the new fields that have been added in response to phase 2. So we have two separate statuses. We have claimable and needs review. And that's really important. Sorry, I just lost the screen I was sharing. That's really important. Just to note that it's not saying that the needs review is not eligible. So we're just saying that that needs a review. So it needs you to take a look and see if there was, and we do tell you what the verification gap is. So we may not be able to determine if it's claimable or not because we don't know, for example, if there was a prior IEPA claim or we don't have the supporting documentation necessary. So what we've added is this claimable needs review. We've added the review flag. So the reason that it's not claimable, the reason it falls into needs review is available here in this review flag. And then also the verification gap. So even on these that we say are claimable, we don't know if you've already submitted that to CAPE. So you will, need to also make sure that you're not submitting entries that you've already submitted. Jake, did I miss anything there on these changes on this output?
No, not on the output.
Okay.
There is the explanation kind of the gaps from the ES003 data
Yes.
in the initial entry or ACE analyzer page.
Here. Thank you. So yes, when you come to ACE Analyzer, there is this is more information on what's required in your upload. But if you click on this IEPA refund information button here, this rules-based filtering, this is all still from phase 1. As I said earlier, all of that still applies. But if you scroll down to phase 2, you get descriptions of the flags on needs review, as well as the what we cannot determine. So from the ES003 data alone, these are the items that we can't determine. So we have just talking through these flags really quickly. Yeah, so the mixed Chapter 99, a refundable IEPA, is on the same line as something that's non-refundable. Second, the anti-dumping. So we flag these for reconciliation because they still need to be tracked. Then the post-entry activity. So if there's something that's done post-summary, correction, protest, reliquidation, we obviously don't necessarily know that based on the data provided. The $0 refunds or a very large refund may need an additional calculation. So we just have flagged any anomalies there. And then this is when the possible override is when the duty that's entered doesn't match what Byte expected. So we also are still doing that analysis and that audit on your ES003. So if something seems off there, we will flag that as a possible override. The entry roll-up report, as it says here, this is also one of the outputs that was on that page. This will output the status, total IEPO duty, estimated refund, separates the anti-dumping totals, any duplicate lines, or entry level refund reconciliation. So all of that is available on that entry roll-up as well. So again, we just want to make sure that we're not making any guesses and that we, are relying on you as the expert on your entries to answer any questions that come up rather than making assumptions that things have been done a certain way. So on the ACE analyzer, again, the rules didn't change. We still have those rules here. We've just added this additional layer of information for you, data points for you, and a better accounting of what needs your eyes on it before you ship it out the door. Jake, anything else now that I missed on that?
I think that sums it up.
Okay. I will also highlight, because I'm really excited about it, you can now print this bite report from the ACE Analyzer as well. So anyone who hasn't seen that, that's a really nice findings report on the ACE that looks really, really great. So you can spend less time kind of formatting all of your findings here. And this is built based on each one of your ACE findings. So I'll just plug that because I think it's beautiful and helpful for everyone. And with that, I will shift gears a little bit away from the ACE Analyzer to the new tool that I mentioned at the beginning. And this is our reports tool. And this tool actually will make use of the ACE Analyzer. It also makes use of other tools in the platform. So getting in here, this is an AI report builder. And this actually came, we were working with a customer who kept getting asked if this was my 232 metal spend last year, what's it going to be this year? And one, I think we all know there's no way to predict what the tariffs will be this year, so that's a hard question to answer from the beginning. But also, it's just a lot of calculation, and it's data that you all have already. And so we just wanted to bring a place where you could spend less time, again, comparing outputs from Byte and comparing spreadsheets and building pivot tables and charts and all of that and put it into one place. So, as I said, this is the reports builder here. You can pick from these predefined prompts, or you can also type in a prompt. So I was practicing earlier and I want to compare, and I'm just being very specific, but I want to compare my recent ACE Analyzer run, which is this name, to my tariff modeling document. So I was doing some tariff modeling in the bulk tariff tool. And for anyone who's interested in how I do that, happy to do a one-on-one with you. I like to play with the dates in there and see what my overall tariff burden was on a certain date. And so you can run this prompt, and I'm going to submit that. And I got logged out. So let's log back in. All right. So I'm going to submit that prompt, and what it's going to do is understand, and then it reads through my data catalog. And what happens here is over here are now all of the tariff analyzers that I've run. So using the tariff analyzer here, everything that I've done there is now available here. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm also going to look at my ACE reports and select which ACE report I want to compare it to. So I'm going to select this. So what I've done here is I've taken my ES003 from November of last year, and I've put it here to do a CAPE Phase 2 analysis. And then I modeled my tariffs. And so I'm going to now compare those two reports. One's kind of a historical look at what I really paid. The other is based on today's date, and is calculating my tariffs based on, if nothing else changed for today, what a month of tariffs would look like. And now it takes just a minute to kind of build all of this and compare, but it's building a comparison of across those two reports. So as you can see, 101 rows comparing my historical ACE duty against projected costs. So if I scroll down here, I can now see by country, and you can break this up to however you want, but I can see by country, my HS code, what the tariff type was, or 232 type was, because I'm on section 232 here, so metal, auto, what my historical duty was, what my projected duty was, and then I can see down here what the projected is and the net change and the overall change. So as I said at the beginning, this is sample data. I used very dramatic differences to demo this for all of you, but you can start to see now, like Germany will be my biggest change here. And likely that's because I have the most product there, but you can start to answer questions. One, if you're a broker and you're getting these types of questions from your customers, you can use this tool to answer those questions. And if you're an importer, you can now use the data that you have to do some of this modeling and comparison. And then, yeah, this is available to be exported to a CSV if you wanted to take that into another BI tool. And so that's the new reporting tool. I won't demo it today, but you can see here, because I have it open, the customs entry analyzer. So anyone that does have an interest in that, please let me know, and I can walk through exactly what the plan is for that, and what we're looking to do there if you have a need for analyzing your PDFs or comparing your PDFs to what you actually entered and doing additional audit tools there. So with that, I will pause for a minute, let everyone digest, and see if there are any questions that have come up. Okay. Lauren, do you have any questions that you've received in the chat or in the Q&A?
No, just one, and confirming that we'll be sending out the presentation and recording after this. That's the only one so far.
Okay. All right. Let me check my chat here. It looks like we have one person asking, is it available now or rolling out? I'm not sure specifically which tool we're talking about there, but phase 2 of the ACE Analyzer is out live in the platform now. So that is available and out there. On the report builder, that is, Jake, what would you say? 2 weeks away from being live?
Yeah, our target date is end of next week. So coming into the following week, it should be available for all the customers.
Okay. And then I know I didn't show it, the customs entry analyzer, that's also, we're looking at likely a month, would you say? On the document? I won't hold you to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say we would like to get it out as well as the reports, but
Okay.
yeah, it's
Okay.
obviously not as far along, hence we haven't demoed it yet.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a
Um,
couple more questions, Anne.
okay.
Yeah, so the first one is, have you seen any indication of IEPA refund eligibility for entries after the 80 days liquidation, currently not in phase 1 or 2?
I don't have any insight into that at this point. It seems, yeah, I would think at some point there may be, but I think adding in each kind of different entry type or timing change will be in subsequent phases. I think what we commit to is that we'll get those, implemented into Byte as soon as we can, but I don't have any insight on that today.
And then we also have, can the report show the refund amount per entry file or only for the batch that was paid by CBP?
So I think the question per entry file or only the batch. I might need some clarification on that. So we will show the refund amount based on the entry. Um, if I understand though that CBP is like issuing, like you get a chunk of money in your bank account, that you need to then like reconcile which entry those were for. So we are not able to do that in Byte because we don't have insight into where those came from. What you can do though in Byte is again look at what amount each entry was and kind of start to map those to the amounts that you're getting back. Um, but we can't currently do that based on like the amounts that you're receiving back. I've also heard like the amounts also will have interest in them so that like they might be slightly different than what you're seeing in Byte. Also, like if you had any outstanding like tax implications in any of the ports, like some of those I've heard are being like taken out of the refund. So there's a lot there that can change the refund amount, so that makes it a little bit hard for us to um, do that mapping. But if that wasn't the question, let me know and I can try to clarify more.
And that's it for questions I've got so far.
Okay. Um, Great. And then I think a few other just general product updates. In addition to the reports tool coming out and the customs entry analyzer, we also have updates to our classification tool. So for anyone that's using the not the check tariff, but the classify, we do have an updated user interface coming out there. Also, we'll be providing better confidence scores on how applicable the cross rulings are to your classification. And again, we're looking at Jake, end of next week.
Yep.
Yeah, end of next week on those as well. And so that's really exciting. Again, introducing a lot of additional small features in that tool that we've been working with customers um, to change and implement. Finally, well, not finally, but also on the check tariff, you may have noticed there's now a toggle at the top for Mexico and Canada. So if you are either a multinational that's importing into either of those countries, or a broker who has a counterpart on the other side of either our northern or southern border, those tools are in beta right now. We're working with a number of people to kind of make those be applicable to the people who need to use them. So if you are in there and using those, let me know if you have any feedback. We are excited to start rolling out additional countries on the tariff tool. And also, if you have any need for a country that's not there, let us know and we will work to get that in as well. Jake, I'm going to rely on you one more time. Any other product updates that I've missed?
No.
Okay.
I guess just to highlight, yeah, the classification tool will have an updated UI, but it's also an updated like processing. So improving accuracy, trying to just give an overall performance boost to the classification tool. Not just a look, but the way it works as well.
Great. Going along with smarter AI, smarter bite. So yeah, excited to roll that out. And I think if there are no more questions, Lauren, I want to make sure to give everyone their time back. I think we all have a lot going on. Just a final note that if you didn't see it in my email for today's webinar, if you're in the New England area or you're just really excited to travel, we will be hosting an in-person event. So I sent out a link. We want input on how to plan for it. So I sent out a link if you want to participate. Check it out. We're hoping to make it be something fun. And with that, just a quick recap of everything we covered today. You got to meet the team. So exciting if you hear from them, or if you have any feedback and you don't want to talk to me, you can reach out to anyone who's on the webinar today. We were excited to show the new phase 2 updates to the ACE analyzer and walk through the report builder. So again, thank you, Jake, Lauren, and Michael. So it means a lot that you were able to jump on today and to give customers a look behind the scenes. We're happy to start showing off your faces a little bit more. And a huge thank you to everyone who participated today. As I said, your time is valuable. I'm excited to give you back 17 minutes here. We don't take it for granted that you joined us for your lunch hour. And if you have questions or want to dig deeper into anything that we covered, feel free, as always, to reach out to me, and we can dig in further one-on-one. So thank you, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time.